Invis is everything braces isn't. Eating the foods you love, life uninterrupted. Invisalign.
Each week, U.S. Bank helps us bring you stories of inspirational athletes who amaze us.
Back in 2019, Taylor Hardley went to school on a normal game day, and that was also the day that changed her life.
A few members of the El Camino softball team are enjoying their first moments on their brand new field. It feels like a new beginning for the Colts softball team, especially for their senior pitcher, Taylor Hardley.
I just remember waking up in the hospital, and that's it.
On March 19th, 2019, she was, me and my wife dropped her off at school like any other normal day.
That day, I was really happy going to school. It was a completely normal day. My best friend Jamie, my catcher, I always met her by my locker in the morning. And that morning I walked to her, but I just didn't feel right.
We had a game that day, and I remember her saying that she wasn't feeling good, and I was like, oh no, like all I could think of was like, she's our pitcher. and then she was like, Jamie, like I really don't feel good. And I was like, okay, Tay, I'll take you to the office. And as we're going down, she just started like stumbling, and I was like, uh-oh.
We hurried back to the school. We find out that she's like seizing and having seizures, and we didn't know what was going on. You know, they were asking all these questions, like if she was doing drugs or anything like that, you know. And I understand those questions, but I was like, you know, my little girl doesn't do those things. At least I didn't think, you know. And I told them to the best of my knowledge, no, she's not doing anything like that. And we ended up finding out that, you know, she had basically a brain hemorrhage. It was really, 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 all I could describe, it was surreal. It was unbelievable.
A blood vessel in Taylor's brain had ruptured because of an undiagnosed AVM. See, some of the blood vessels in Taylor's brain are tangled, making it difficult for oxygen and blood to flow. Then, on March 19th, a blood vessel popped.
And she was in the hospital from that day up until the middle of May. We were afraid that she wasn't going to wake up. But it's tough thinking about those things just because how far she's come. But she battled through it. I mean, she woke up one day and she was, she didn't know who we were.
Every morning, my mom explained to me what happened. I couldn't remember anything. It was terrible. I had to be reminded where I was and what was going on. And there was a while there where I finally realized I was in the hospital, and that's what was going on. But I had to be explained to almost every day what had happened.
At first, like I said, she didn't know who we were, and we were scared at that point. Things about her personality just started to shine through. For some reason, she started singing everything and anything. She started singing the national anthem out of the blue.
Taylor was in the hospital for 3 months, but back at home, her community was fighting alongside her.
The softball community and all the donating they did was able to keep my parents with me and them to stay by my side and my friends by my side and everything.
A lot of the schools, especially around the area, Notre Dame and them, they did a game and raised money. Then we had a big fundraiser, and they raised, I think, almost $50,000, I think. It was crazy.
All the teams from San Mateo County came out to support her and did an amazing fundraiser for her. It was just so awesome.
It meant everything. I never imagined there'd be so many people behind me. Like, I had all of San Mateo, all of South City, all of San Bruno. Everybody was there for me, and it was fantastic to just know that I had a huge community of people there to support me. It really got me back up again.
Today, Taylor is happy to have her life back to normal. Well, almost.
My memory is a lot better. It's not completely there, but I'd say it's like 5 times better than it was before.
But Taylor isn't out of the woods quite yet.
This malformation in her brain, they couldn't operate on it. They could only, at that time, they could only drain the fluid from her brain. She responded really good to that. Unfortunately, the malformation actually is still there.
Doctors say it will take 3 years of radiation treatment to shrink the size of the malformation. Until then, doctors told Taylor there is a chance she could have another hemorrhage.
It kind of kept me like almost in sort of a depressed state because I wanted anything but for that to happen again. I can't imagine going through that again, but I do have to be prepared that it could. My toughest point was being in rehab, like after the hospital, because I realized how close I was to home, but I just wasn't there yet. So I think that was the hardest for me emotionally.
The brain hemorrhage took Taylor's sophomore season from her, and when she arrived back home from the hospital last May, Taylor almost immediately began to make up the time she had lost.
I think it was like right after me and my dad decided to go out and pitch again, and I was happy I could do it. It was like nothing ever happened, because when I'm on the mound, there's just nothing else. That's my place.
I remember we were in a tournament at, it was in Pleasanton, and when she threw that first pitch and the sound of the ball hitting the glove and all that, we just all kind of looked at each other and was like, this is unbelievable. It's close to just over a year and she's actually thrown the ball. And it just shows you the drive she had, that she wanted to come back and play the game. You know, most people would take their time and just relax, and she worked real hard to get to where she's at.
It felt surreal, to be honest. It was just, because for a point there, I didn't think I would get back to it. Because I didn't know if I'd be able to be mentally prepared to catch a ball and do all of those things. And I proved them wrong, and I was able to do it.
And the thing that actually motivated her the most was this one doctor told her that she was really, really smart, but she would just be smart after this. And she actually took offense to that.
This was a doctor that I didn't even talk to through my recovery. And to hear that from somebody I barely knew, I ended my junior year in straight A's, and I thought that was the biggest accomplishment.
She's motivated to move forward and just be Taylor again.
Taylor went in for her latest MRI at the beginning of October and received incredible news from her doctor.
The AVM is shrinking, so it's getting there. It really is. So to know it's even smaller is just, it's amazing to feel that and think that it could be gone soon.
A year and a half ago, Taylor Hardley was in the hospital. And now, on her brand new field, it's like she hardly left.
The AVM in Taylor's brain is shrinking, which is fantastic news because it lessens the chance of her having another aneurysm. It was unbelievable how quickly her community rallied behind her. Amazing.
Yeah, and even more amazing is that she's back and doing great. And
it was like the second she came home from the hospital, she was back pitching. Crazy.
looking forward to covering her this spring.
Yes, she's going to be pretty good, I think.